Hello. We are here today to get started with another live. And our topic today is of great interest to most organizations. It is how you can create customer satisfaction as well as employee satisfaction through the speed and efficiency of your operations. And that's the topic today, operations. So this is Voss Graham. I am your organizational architect. I am sharing information with business leaders on what you need to be reviewing relative to major business processes in this 14-part series. Today, we're going to be focusing on what keeps an organization, a facility, and a plant operation running effectively and with speed of implementation in many cases. So I want to start with a topic that's pretty simple, but it's facility management. How well are you keeping your facility in effective operating usage? I mean, is it clean? Is it well taken care of? Is the production line, whatever operations you have. Now, this is where I've made a mistake in the past. I've thought about operations strictly for manufacturing companies, but really operations is what some manufacturing companies use as an umbrella for all of their production and supply chain management, and they call it operations. In fact, we have chief operation officers in many organizations. So it is kind of an umbrella. And then when non-manufacturing company, distribution companies, operations is that backroom stuff that goes on. And there's a lot of things that go into play. Now, again, facility management, do you have enough space? Do you have the right kind of space? Do you have the colors that are conducive for positive attitudes on the part of employees? Can you show your facility off to important clients, or are you embarrassed by junky offices? I know one client, they had some layoffs, and there was an office right back close to the front door, right off the lobby, and in plain view of anybody that came in the building, they could see stacks of furniture, and it was almost like a storeroom with a glass wall for everybody to see. It was atrocious, and it gave off a very negative impression to anyone walking in the door, employees, vendors, bankers, other customers for sure. And then prospective talent, when they came in and they would see that, it was kind of a downer, and it would send them away with a negative attitude relative to their company, even though the company was otherwise well run. So facility management is also monitoring your leases. If you lease, or are you purchasing and keeping everything up to date so that they don't become antiquated and obsolete too fast. Another area is information systems. Now, this one is a big topic, probably needs its own day in the sun, but information systems are extremely important in this day and age where technology rules. Customers want to be able to connect directly into your system and track progress for deliveries, new products, even manufactured products. They want to be able to not have to pick up the phone and call, but be able to go online with their computer, with their phone, with their tablet, and check on the status of deliveries and invoices, etc., without having, and even pay, for that matter, pay invoices electronically. And that's all information systems. Now, the better that all the systems talk to each other, the more efficient and effective your operation will be. I know I've worked with some companies that were expanding and buying other businesses, and they had a mismatch of information systems. It was taking up to 2 months before they could get a monthly report in for the sales team to know exactly what they sold, what the profit margins were, etc. So they were running on 2 months lag time That's very difficult to be up to date and current with even customers. So what's the customer bought? What's their orders? What's the progress of their deliveries? And when the systems are such that you have to go to the source in order to get the answers, that's a delay. That is a costly delay in execution, and you need time. Just speedy. Think speed, but with accuracy, and ease of use. By the way, is another factor in your information systems. I know in some cases we have great systems are brought on board, yet the ease of use factor is not present. The learning curves are so steep that you lose effectiveness, you lose efficiency in people not knowing what to do. Maybe one or two people have figured it out, and the rest of them, there's nothing intuitive about it, so they're at loss. Nor were they actually trained on how the new software or information system process. I've actually seen that happen on many occasions through the transitions. And the information systems and technology today is improving and changing at a breakneck speed. I mean, it is every 6 months, there's new technology coming on board. Now you've got things like AI, artificial intelligence, gaining more and more speed. I know that bots, as they call it, and not robots, but bots, are utilized in information systems to do automated response to emails and text messages, etc. People think they're carrying on a conversation with a real human being, and they're not. It's a bot who's predetermined up front in order to answer certain basic questions. And most of the time it's effective, but sometimes it's not. By the way, on your information systems, you should have a frequently asked questions, FAQ. You probably see that anytime you go online with a site that where they know what they're doing. They have frequently asked questions to actually help guide the user through the process. So I encourage you to look into that, think about that, and see what you can do to implement those systems within your organization. Now, purchasing is another area. I've already talked about that yesterday. Talk about it a little bit more. Again, it's more about value-added purchasing is much more impactful than just the lowest cost acquisition cost, because in many cases you can get poor quality, poor delivery times, mismatches in quality. So you got some parts that fit, other parts don't fit. You got to be very careful in the purchasing and group. And yet here's another area where information systems are rapidly moving into play, and they've been there for a long time in the bigger organizations, but they're also picking up speed in the newer or smaller organizations. That the purchasing department has to be automated to a large degree, so that you know exactly what's going on, and being able to track inventory levels, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But inventory levels are controlled with data, and you can use the best systems are perpetual inventory, which is how Walmart became the number one retail wholesale company in the world. They were very, very effective at being able to have their all their inventory and purchasing geared to information systems and technology, so that they were getting the best prices at the best time, and working out the best negotiation with their customers. Sometimes it's a little cutthroat, but for the most part, they sell everything they buy. So that's pretty cool. Repair and maintenance is something that is often overlooked and not stressed, yet it is critically important. I know I talked about this yesterday when I was talking about the impact on production plants. If you're not doing regular scheduled maintenance to make sure that everything stays up to speed, then that's a major mistake. I've also seen very what I call aggressive managers who cut the maintenance and repair budgets, make short-term returns, get promoted or move to another company, and then whoever takes over is sitting there trying to put the company back or the process back together because there was no maintenance, and they literally wore out the machines. It was really negative outcomes. The employees were unhappy, the customers were unhappy, and you had to shut the plant down for a while to rebuild a lot of the manufacturing equipment that with just regular maintenance would have been maintained. Also understand that repair and maintenance is something that you need to plan for. Obviously, scheduled is much better than surprises, but there will be occasional surprises, so you have to factor that into your budgets. I talked about inventory earlier, talked about that yesterday in my production, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but here you need to have automated systems to know exactly what's your minimum and your maximum inventory amounts. Track it if you can with technology that does a perpetual everyday inventory count and not just go in and count all the parts and pieces at the end of the month or end of the quarter or end of the year, which is even worse. That way you have no inventory control. So that's pretty important. Safety is an area that is critically important for the employee satisfaction. It also gets a lot of press when bad things happen to employees inside the shop or inside the facility. You need to make sure that safety is top of mind, and that's the only way it will work. It has to become top of mind. The mindset of everybody in the plant has to be focused on safety. They have to be thinking and talking about safety on a regular basis. Otherwise, somebody, and particularly certain behavior styles that I'm aware of, will forget to remember that certain steps are in place for safety reasons that are necessary for their well-being. Without it, you run the risk of injuries, lost time, even fatalities in some organizations. So it's a critical piece, but it is a mindset thing. So that requires discussion, dialogue, and reinforcement on a regular, ongoing basis. Now, another area that's usually not reviewed very often is emergency management. What happens if? This is called contingency planning. The progressive companies that I work with, they know exactly what they're going to do if certain things happen. They have a plan. They have it figured out, and they just have to modify the plan based on the specifics of the emergency. But you have weather emergencies, you have tornadoes, you have hurricanes if you're by the coast, you have flooding, you have fires in some cases. Hopefully the safety group will keep that from happening, but you never know. It has happened, particularly when there's a lot of electronics involved in the area. There's a higher sense of fire, and also when you have chemicals in your facility, if you're a distribution house for specialty chemicals or any kind of chemicals that are flammable, well, you run the risk of having some fires. That's an emergency. How do you stop it before it gets out of control and burns down the whole building? These are all factors that need to be planned and reported. Also, if you have any really dangerous chemical combinations that if caught into a fire or a flood would cause great risk to the population as a whole, you need to have those things listed and planned out and shared with the local authorities to make sure that they can protect both the company and the public from any unforeseen areas of of health, negative health, and or well, again, kind of like safety, which kind of leads us into the next topic of risk management. Risk management is an area that is kind of like an umbrella in itself of all the different types of risks that organizations take. So you need to do some risk management planning, contingency plans. You need to review your policies. What are you doing for workman's comp? What are you doing for the insurance on the building? Your inventory levels, particularly if your facility has been increasing in value or your inventory has become more valuable, greater inventory is being stored, higher priced equipment is being moved into the plant. Well, you need to be reviewing your risk management to make sure that all your policies are covering what needs to be covered. If you're a professional and you're giving business advice, you better have some contingency insurance or malpractice in some cases. I know the poor medical industry, they get slammed with those type of insurance costs, but that's it's the nature of doing business and our current legal society. So just understand that risk is an element that we all play with by being in business versus just working for other people. As an entrepreneur, we are risk takers. Problem is, if we take too much risk, it creates a huge downside for our organization, for the business as a whole, because we could get caught in dire straits. I know that there's related to emergency management and risk management is what happens if you're unable to operate your plant, your facility for a period of time due to some disaster. Well, that's risk management. You better have a plan that can help you get restarted somewhere soon, which also reminds me to have all your important data, customer service files, and backups housed not only in-house, but somewhere safe outside the facility that you have your operations in, because otherwise if everything is destroyed through some freak of nature, well, you've got to be able to put your business back together quickly. The more current your outside data storage is, the faster you will be able to get back up to speed with new hardware and reinstated software, and you can get a substitute plant or a new plant up to speed a lot faster than having to recreate the wheel. I can tell you that is a very costly process, usually bankrupts companies if they're not prepared. So this is an area where you just pay attention to what's going on inside your operations. And again, operations is an umbrella sense that production folks also refer to operations. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can have chief operating officers, but and it includes production, or production is over it, and it just depends. But you also have supply chain management that is often included in operations. You have outsourcing to contractors, independent contractors, etc. So you've got to factor in all these things that we just talked about information systems, emergency management, risk management, and safety, even with these outside sources. So there we have it for today's give back to the business entrepreneur. These are I am sharing 14 major business processes that a leader needs to be aware of and have discussions with the leadership team. I hope that this has been helpful, and I look forward to sharing more information this week. And I know the next topic will be new product service development, which is near and dear to my heart. As I can assure you when I share with you that information, probably tomorrow, you will understand why I feel that way. So thank you for watching, if if well, it sure would be nice if you would make a comment, ask a question, share this video with other people that you feel like could benefit from it, and then, hey, a like doesn't hurt. It gives a little engagement, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much. Take care. Have a great week.